Welcome back to Do More Good. Oh, thank you so much to every single person that sent a positive word of encouragement from episode number 1. Super thrilled to be back with you today. And I have a great friend with me, Miss Lindsay Patterson. She is a wonderful professional in benefit and fundraising events, and she has created a great event called Under the Big Top that benefits specialized needs recreation. It's only a couple years in and already a do not miss event in this community. We have some great tips for you today for first-time events, and also just some tried and true rules of what you will do to make your event successful. So I'm sure that you'll love it. Thanks again to Lindsay for joining me. I hope that there's a lot of great content for you today on this episode of Do More Good. Good morning, and I'm so glad that you all have joined us again today for the second edition of Do More Good. And I'm beyond thrilled to have my friend Lindsay Patterson here with me today. She has been an encouragement to me for many, many years. And the first time I met Lindsay, she actually was a business owner. Her and her husband, David, owned Java. That's how I first met Lindsay. She was the owner of Java on the east end of Sherman. And I remember coming in the store and you were preparing something for an event that you were doing in the back. You were hosting some sort of fundraiser, I'm sure, for an organization in our community. And you were working fast. And I remember my brother, Tom, is the one that introduced me to you. Mm-hmm. And he was like, you have to meet this gal, Lindsay. She's awesome. And so I just walked in there one day and I was like bound and determined to meet Lindsay because I knew that she was awesome. And you were busy and you were gracious and you were busy. And I just remember that first day meeting you has been kind of how I've always known you, is that you are kind of a GSD, get stuff done kind of girl. And that's how I've always just thought of you. You're an entrepreneur, you are an executive in nonprofits, and you have worked not only with the nonprofit that you're currently with, but you worked in with private Catholic school fundraising. You've worked with the Coeur d'Alene School District in fundraising with both the Excel Foundation and also Booster Club. And you just are so multifaceted and you do incredible things in our community. And I am thankful that people like you exist, Lindsay, because we need people like you that are willing to pour out their time and their treasure and their talents. And so I'm just thankful for you and what you do in this community, and your 2 teenage boys and your husband and the athletics and all of the things that you do. So thank you for making time to be with me this morning. Mm-hmm. And I would love to just learn a little bit more about what you're doing, what Specialized Needs Recreation is doing, and then, of course, also some tips and tricks, because you have created one of the best events, most exciting events, and most unique events in Coeur d'Alene. And so I'm super excited to talk about that. And before I let you talk, I have to tell one more thing about Lindsay. So Lindsay, for those of you that know her, this is not going to come as a surprise to you at all. But if you don't know Lindsay, then this is how I think about Lindsay. Lindsay is the girl that works tirelessly for her causes and for her family. And then she also still makes time to drop shin guards at her neighbor's house. She did that for me. Drop shin guards when I was like frantically trying to find shin guards for my daughter. They were nowhere to be found. Lindsay brought them. And then Lindsay also delivered fresh sourdough cinnamon rolls to my door on Christmas Day. So there's not enough good things that you could say about Lindsay. So many more. So Lindsay, thank you for joining me.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. And I'm just really honored to be part of your podcast. I'm really proud of you for wanting to follow through in this dream of yours, and it's been fun to be part of that journey with you. My husband and I owned a coffee shop in downtown Coeur d'Alene for many years, and that's really kind of where we got to be really connected and familiar with what makes our community special, what makes our community stand apart from others, and just the love that fills our community. And really that was with Sorensen Elementary.
Oh gosh.
Because for many of you that are from Coeur d'Alene, Sorensen also does a really fantastic job and has done for years with their annual fundraising auction. And the very first time I ever saw you on stage was at a Sorensen auction.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember the year. I was trying to recall what year that was, but it was the Alice in Wonderland themed
Oh, that was a good one.
auction, and it was so fun. And of course, you were super connected with all of the families and the parents and the donors in the room. But you just had a way to connect with individuals that really made them want to be part of the night. And that really stuck with me. And I just knew that we were going to be fast friends. And then little did I know that Tom, your brother, was one of our most regular Java customers. And I didn't even know that you were brother and sister until much later when we started working on Lake City Bicycle Collective.
That's right, yeah.
A wonderful organization that Rose's brother has started and founded here in Coeur d'Alene, helping to put bicycles in the hands of those that don't have them in our community. And so that was a really fun project to be part of. I don't remember the timeline of that
either.
That was,
They all kind of
seemed
run
like
together.
It does. So yeah, I've just here we are.
Here we
through
are.
Lots of fundraising events,
Yeah.
partnering and working together, and so yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah,
Thanks for
of course.
having me.
It's. I love that you mentioned all of that because it just goes to show really how tightly connected our community is as it's growing rapidly, with really no sign of that slowing. There still is such a deep interwoven connection in this community that is incredibly special.
It really is. You know, there definitely are days for us that have been here for many years. My husband and I moved here in 2005, so we're going on year 18 here. And there definitely are days where yes, there's more cars at the stop sign. Just today there was 10 cars at the stop sign on Ramsey Road, and I was like, why are there 10 cars at this stop sign at 9 o'clock in the morning? But then there are other times when things happen, and it reminds me that we still are a very small community at heart. And it's exciting to be part of the community now because it's a real opportunity for those that are moving here to truly become one with the community that they chose to be part of, you know, so that they can be involved in something, somehow, some way, find a way to be part of the community that they just recently joined.
Do you see that at SNR? Do you see that people are showing up that are new to the community and saying, I'm so glad to find this resource I didn't know existed. How can I be involved? How can I help? I mean, are you seeing that happen there?
Ever so slightly. And if we can just take a little bit of a step back, you know, specialized needs recreation, a lot of people still don't know who we are, what we do, and mostly who we are serving.
I love that because I wanted to mention that when you and I first started chatting, when you took on this role as executive director of SNR has been around for a long time.
1984.
And I'm surprised, we laughed about this when we chatted about it. I'm surprised with as much involvement as I have in the nonprofit community that an organization could have been around as long as they had been, serving as many people as they had been, and generating the amount of resources it took in order to do that with fairly minimal awareness in our community. So please tell us, what is SNR? Obviously, you've been around for many, many years, and how are you actually reaching your community? You have a very special community, participants. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so SNR was founded in 1984. A group of family members here in the Kootenai County area came together and recognized that there was a missing gap. There was not a proper way for their special children and adult children to participate in recreational activities because their kids had special needs or they were disabled. And so in 1984, a foundation was formed, and, you know, we've had some minor changes here and there, but now we're serving the community, and we serve roughly a total of 300 individuals. Wow. And of those 300 individuals annually, they visit our programs and activities that we run annually over 3,000 times a year.
Wow.
So we serve ages 8 and up. The majority of our participants are adults, but we do have a lot of our youth within the area that come in and joy participating in winter break camp and spring break camp, and that's coming up just next week. And then we'll have a summer camp for them this summer. We have small staff, like most nonprofits. We have 4 people on staff, 3 of which are full-time and 1 part-time. And then we'll have some seasonal staff that will come in and help with those non-school session camps for the kiddos. And that's how we get through that staffing time of the year.
So how many hats do you wear? Because you wear a lot of hats.
I do wear a lot of hats. Yes. I mean, I think I'm not alone in saying that if you are a leader in an organization, nonprofit organization, you wear a lot of hats every single day. As ED, I am overseeing all the programs and making sure that we've got the proper staffing to be able to serve the demand of folks that walk through our door. Pick up the phone. I've heard about you. I want to get my special person involved. We all do that every single day. If I'm needed to interact with somebody or distract with somebody or have a conversation with a parent, I'm there. If I have an opportunity to speak to a local community group or do some networking to educate our community about the people and who we serve here in Coeur d'Alene, I jump on that. I'm the leader of all of our fundraising efforts. And so, yeah, there's a lot of hats, and you said it best, I'm a doer.
How's the best way for our community to help you? I mean, obviously finances always, but are there capacity for people, just regular, folks out there in the community to serve in any way with SNR? Yeah.
So, money.
Yeah,
obviously.
money, always
that
money.
That is just like the easiest, cure. The best way our community can serve SNR is to become informed and to become engaged with our programs. If you're having a crummy day yourself in your own life, I dare you to come and spend an hour with us at our facility and just interact with our special people. They are just a ray of sunshine.
They are.
And
it's true.
Really, there are days that it's a lot for us. We have our own families to deal with. We have a broken dishwasher. We have to get an oil change, and all sorts of things are going on in our own personal lives. And sometimes just leaning into them is the best cure for me and for others if they find themselves in that kind of unhappy space for a minute.
Yeah, I love it. Every time that I have an opportunity to come in, I look forward to it, whether it's just to drop something by or pick something up or have a meeting. I know that there's going to be someone there that's going to be happy to see you. That I love watching the participants as they interact with one another. There's so much joy in their greetings and in their farewells, and it really is an absolutely joy-filled space.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you touched on that, because that's really what we do at SNR. Our job is to provide them a space to connect with one another. Like you and I might connect over a cup of coffee because you love coffee. I used to sell coffee. We enjoy visiting over coffee or tea or whatever your libation of choice is. But, that's our time. That's where we go to connect with one another. And people with special needs don't have that same luxury. They don't always fit in with the rest of the community. And so in order for us to provide the social connectors for them, we provide them the space to engage with one another, with people that are most like them. They play basketball once a week. They go bowling once a week. They they have cooking lessons once a month. They'll go to the movie theaters once a month. They go out to eat once a month. That's just within our adult programming. Now, we also offer sports programs throughout the year, so little mini sessions in a non-competitive space where they can just go and learn how to play pickleball, or how to play soccer, or basketball, of course, is their favorite. And then we have our evening program, which is open to all ages, and that is where our participants really come together without caregivers around. They don't want their mom and dad around all the time. They want the opportunity to flex their independence without having someone constantly looking over their shoulder.
Right.
You know, it's remember that day you dropped your daughter off at school for the first time and she was like, "See you later."
I do, very clearly.
And you were kind of like,
heartbroken
wow,
a little bit. She doesn't even care.
But then a couple weeks later, you were like, maybe, wow, she's confident enough to go and do this on her own.
Yep.
And she is learning and growing because she has this opportunity to flex her independence at school every single day.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
That's what we provide adults with special needs.
That's incredible. One of the things that you do so well is including your participants in your event.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a very unique opportunity, I think. And we talk about it a lot with a lot of schools and that type of thing, youth-oriented events. Sometimes we try to figure out ways to include our youth. And more often than not, we decide that rarely is there a great spot to make that happen. But this is different because so many of your participants are adults and they just need some extra guidance or encouragement and that support through the processes. So I love it. And do you think your event would be as successful without your participants engaging in it?
No, I don't. I mean, people still want to give to causes that are near and dear to them.
Yeah.
But when I came on staff in 2019 and having lived here for, since 2005, being involved in the community, I do not have children with special needs. And so I was not aware of this organization. And that was a real gap that needed to be filled. I felt the desire that I have to educate the community about the community that we serve in order to build an inclusive community for all.
Yeah.
And our annual auction under the Big Top, which is September 28th, have to plug that.
Yes, do. It's fun. You want to go, I promise. Be there.
In order to truly create that educational piece about the people in which we serve, we have to immerse them into the program at the event.
Yeah.
They have to be part of it. I need people that are walking down the street that may pass by someone that does not have the characteristics of Down syndrome, or maybe doesn't walk with a gait, or doesn't have a cane, or is not in a wheelchair. There are still people that look just like you and I that have special needs.
Absolutely.
And they are harder to detect, but I guarantee you that we are all walking past them on the sidewalks. We're all interacting with them when we go to Super One. There are people that work there. The Village Bakery employs people that have special needs.
Yeah.
And they are a part of our community. And so in order to truly educate the community about our community of people that have needs, they have to see them in action.
Absolutely.
They have to see them in action, and they have to see that they're no different to interact with. They very much want to be part of all the things. They just need a little bit of extra TLC.
Yeah.
And an open heart and kindness.
Yeah.
And if we can give them that, that's when we're going to start to see, as a whole, inclusive community start to develop within Coeur d'Alene.
Absolutely.
That's what I believe.
I believe you're right. And Under the Big Top has become really rapidly one of the most exciting events in the community that people look forward to returning to every year, and also that they talk about it for days and days and even weeks sometimes afterwards. How have you created an event that is so that lingers? I think that's a good way to describe it. It's an event that lingers, like the way that you feel after you leave Under the Big Top. It stays with you. That's a gift that even with some other really fabulous events, you go and you have a great time, and then you feel like you've done good, and then you leave, and I don't know that the energy really sticks in your bones like it does with Under the Big Top. So how have you created this kind of lingering, emotional, compelling commitment?
Well, back to educating people about the community in which we serve. When I came on in August of 2019, 6 months before COVID closure, I just didn't know about this organization, and I felt in my bones I have to teach and educate people about our organization, because once people become educated about what our work is all about, then I really believe they will get on in line. And so back to bringing people into the event itself, you know, we have probably 10 to 12 different adults that participate in the event. But mostly I still had people asking me, but what do you do at SNR? Like, okay, so people with special needs come to you, but what do you do there? Well, you know what? We plan all the fun things. We have calendars full of activities. There's something for everybody on our monthly calendar.
Yeah.
And I wanted to emulate that at the Hagadone Event Center. I wanted people in the room to feel like they were included in the event itself. So I really intentionally make it a point to envelop everybody in everything that's happening in the room through individual price points. Like, I really want there to always be price points for people to feel like they can participate. We've all gone to the events where people are throwing thousands of dollars, and then you've got a couple of tables in the back that are almost embarrassed. Like, you can almost feel that they don't feel like they fit in.
Yeah.
And I feel if they are there, they fit in.
Yeah.
And it is our job as event leaders to find opportunities to include them. And so I've made our games and some of our raffles be enjoyable and engaging for them to be part of. It's not just, I'll just buy a raffle ticket. I'll take raffle ticket number 200, or you're issued raffle ticket. No, I want that lollipop, and it's lollipop number 200, and I win a prize. Like, that's excitement and fun and engaging. So we've really tried to capture that involvement through our raffles.
Yep.
I want people to walk away saying, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I want to do more. I want to be more with that organization. I had no idea it existed. And if this is what they're doing for their auction, what are they doing in the program?
That's actually such a good point, because I think that it sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like you've created an event to mirror what you're doing inside of your space,
exactly,
the SNR space. And you're doing it in such a way that the plan is to compel people to want to know more about you, not necessarily just investing in this one-time event. Am I
That's correct.
Am I clear? Am I saying that clearly?
Yeah. So, I just have some facts here, because a lot of people don't quite understand the magnitude of the people within our community. So in Kootenai County, 23.2% of adults are living with a disability in Kootenai County alone.
Which is a much larger number than I would have ever assumed.
Yes. 1 in 4 families has a loved one with a disability.
Yeah.
Okay. So for those other 3 families that don't have a loved one with a disability, I am one of them. I don't understand the value of going out and hanging out with friends if I don't have a person at home that's doing nothing all day long.
Right.
And so through just the engagement of, the different raffles and so on and so forth, I try to touch on, like, what do you like to do with your friends? Like, really honest question, like, Rose, what do you like to go and do with your friends? Like, if you say you want to go out to eat to dinner, well, we do that we provide that opportunity
absolutely
to adults and kids with special needs and through SNR programming. So I really try to connect it in a way that is relatable to everyday real life, to a neurotypical human. Yeah.
Well, it's obviously working because there is so much excitement and so much the linger. I don't know. That's probably not really the best way to describe it, but it feels like there is something, this kind of prolonged energy that comes, and that maybe has everything to do with the fact that you've created this space that allows them to remember their times out with their friends. Like, if I'm going out, I'm going to have a great dining experience with my friends. Like, I watched the Zag game last night with Matt, and we sat at the bar at Satay and watched the second half. And there was just kind of this like collaborative space, right? Collaborative environment of excitement that was happening with that. Whether you're really invested in the game or not, you were partially invested because Matt and I were so invested. And so the table next to us was kind of engaging because they couldn't help it. So this idea that you create something that draws people in a positive way, it only makes sense. Yeah, so there is something that's just very awesome about that space where the other people are impacted by the people around them. In scenario from last night, the other people in that environment were hopefully positively impacted by our excitement over the game. So I love that you're creating that, and it's palpable. You can feel it.
Yeah.
And you've done so many events now. I mean, I actually use you as an example when I talk to people about moving into a community and just diving in, because that's what you and Dave did. You moved here, you had a business, but you dove in and you invested your time and your treasure and your talent into all these different organizations that your kids were part of and that you were investing in with your community. And so with all of these examples of these different events that you've done, when you're planning an auction, obviously there's like do's and don'ts. You probably have kind of a list of some sort that says, hey, I would never do this. Or maybe maybe a better example is you walk into an event, because you attend events that you're not part of, and you walk into an event and you go, oh, they did that. I can't believe they did that. I wish I would have known they were going to do that. I would have told them, don't do that. I mean, is there anything that that you just say, hey, whatever you do, don't ever do this? Or you must do this? Is there like anything that you think to yourself, there's certain things you just have to do? With Kristen, it was assigned seating. She was like, you have to assign seats. It's such a...
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Right.
I 100%. So I won't take that one. I think when you are brand new to an event, like we were 2 years ago, because we're in year 3, coming up on year 3 here, of us hosting our own event. Other people raised funds on our behalf, but this was 2 years ago an opportunity for us to do it ourselves for our organization. And like I touched on, my number one goal is to find a way immediately to engage every single one of your guests into the night, and at the same time bring your cause into the room however which way you can. You might have to think outside of the box, get super uber creative. If you're working with a school, Sorensen does this so well. Surround the walls with the students, with pictures of the students, so that even though they're not present in the room, they are. They are right there on the wall. You can see their faces. You can see their jubilant, happy, smiling people.
That's actually, as we chatted a little bit ago, we talked about how sometimes it's very hard, and oftentimes with schools, bringing the children into the space, it's just not possible.
It's really challenging. Tried a couple of times to find ways to get kids in, and it can be a real challenge. But I think that people can get creative and find alternative ways to still achieve that. And so my number one is to find the price points to engage people, but also find an opportunity to engage your mission into the night, not just with your video or through your guest speaker, but other ways, find ways to engage them into the night as well.
Absolutely. We have Hannah.
Oh, we do have Hannah.
So,
yes. Oh, Hannah.
So at Lindsay's event, Hannah is our MC, and she's actually dubbed as the ringmaster. Because
she is the night's ringmaster.
Yes. And she does such an incredible job, and she has owned it from the first year to the second year. I can't even wait to see. I'm so excited to see what she comes up with for this year together. But it's been so beautiful to bring her passion and her joy. Again, we can't talk enough about joy. But if a person was trying to maybe task someone with a role like that, I mean, obviously there's no one other than Hannah to be Hannah because she's so incredible. But what would you give someone advice if they're trying to find the right MC? We talk about it a lot, about the right person to be on the stage, being a person that's going to be fun and energetic, charismatic, maybe know the guests, maybe not have to know the guests, but potentially if they do. But also we have to make sure that they are aware of timeline, being able to be concise. What are some other kind of tips that you would throw out there for someone trying to find
we've
a
talked
host?
a lot about this
over
the years. I mean, at Holy Family, finding the right MC was a challenge. We've talked about finding the right MC for the big event with the Excel Foundation. And what I come back to is that they obviously have to be all in with the mission, number one, whether they're, have experienced the mission firsthand, if they're a board member, if it's somebody that is a previous board member, if it's somebody that is an active participant, what have you. They have to be mission driven first. Second piece that I look for is they're on stage. They have to be charismatic and comfortable to be behind a microphone and comfortable to interact with you and Matt or both and the room. They have to have that in their bones. That has to be a part of who they are as a person. I think if you can find that person, which can take some time, maybe you might have to do a little arm twisting.
You're going to like it. I promise it's going to be fun.
And I think as an event planner, if you set them up for success and if you provide them with the tools to be successful through scripting, through role playing, through practicing, through building them up and loving on them and just being a support system for them as they take the stage potentially for the very first time ever.
Yeah.
I'm I just go for it type of person, and I put my eggs in that person's basket every time.
Matt and I will regularly tell our guest MCs or hosts of the evening that we promise not to let you fail. I mean, we want you to be successful, and we're in this together as a team, and we promise we won't let you fail. And it's always really fun to have someone on the stage, even someone new every couple of years. You might have someone that really does a great job for 2 or 3 years as your MC, and then maybe they can't make it or they're over, they feel like they've kind of paid their dues and they want to move on. And so it is fun sometimes to have, someone for a couple of years and then transition into someone new. Are you kind of thinking ahead when you maybe you see someone and you're like, oh, I'm gonna put them in the back of my mind, and we're gonna add them to my list because I think one day.
Gosh, I have a lot of lists.
Oh yeah. Well, when you wear many hats like you do, you have to have a lot of lists.
Yes. Yeah. There are a lot of lists in my world, but another real quick piece about putting someone on that list. Another way to bring somebody in and build someone up that might be new to this MC role is find someone that they can partner with. If they can go back and forth and tag team the MC role, that might make someone feel a little bit more comfortable for the first time on stage, and then also kind of build in a little bit of secession for the future. Like if that person wants to drop off, I don't want to ever do that again, but maybe you're back. It
doesn't feel like that. Yeah. If you're out there, if we call you and ask you to be an MC, it doesn't feel like that.
No, but you could move out of town or just not be in town or traveling next year or what have you, and you can't make that second year commitment, but maybe the two people work together so well that so two people doing it together would be a great option. Back to that MC point. Yeah. So
do you find that there's so many things happening at the events, and so you have raffles and you have silent auction and live auction and paddle raise and some things like that. Do you feel like there's a point where there are too many things? Is there kind of a sweet spot for this is how many things you should have going on, this is how many silent auction items you should have? Is there kind of a sweet spot for you, or do you just, because sometimes I think people just go, we're just going to take whatever comes our way and we'll figure it out how to make it work? Or are you more strategic than that and say, we have this, this is going to be the 3 raffles. This is going to be the 27 silent auction items. I mean, what's your kind of methodology for planning out your ways for people to participate?
So my 3 price points are that's kind of my roadmap for that. So I've got a $25 price point, a $50 price point, and a $100 price point. Last year, I did have $200 price points, but it also paid for a signature drink and entered them into a raffle as well. So it bought 2 drinks and got entered into a special exclusive raffle.
Okay.
So price points are
The driving force.
That is the driving force for
Yep.
me. Every time will always be. If there's never a $25 price point at an event, I urge you to find a way to create one because I think it engages people. ROI, return on our investment. I kind of know I need to make X dollars on our $50 raffle ticket for the wine tree. If I don't make $50 in that wine tree raffle, then maybe it needs to be a wine poll.
Okay.
So I do a lot of number crunching to
Yep.
kind of know where our sweet spot is for specific things. I know I'm going to sell X number of lollipop pulls, which for those that have not been to our event, that's $25 for a lollipop. But each lollipop is tied to a gift card that is at least $10 of value or higher.
Guaranteed winner every time.
Guaranteed winner every time. So somebody that doesn't have a lot to spend but still wants to participate, they're still going home with something, like a prize, not just a chance.
Yeah.
And that there's value there.
Absolutely.
I think it sells out very quickly every year.
Well, and you have great sellers, and that's helpful.
Well, we do have back to pulling our mission into the room. Our participants are the ones selling the raffle tickets, the pick of the live necklaces, the lollipop pulls, and so they're kind of cute and hard to say no to.
Very hard to say no to. Very, very hard.
So then the one thing that I would say the no to the event, like one of our pitfalls, is if you are the event planner, do not get stuck on the check-in table. I got stuck on the check-in table last year, and that was the first I'd ever fallen into that role on accident, and it changed the dynamic of the entire night. I didn't have the time that I wanted to connect with all of our guests, and I do all the guest registration myself. And so I know who's at what table. I know who has sent an email saying, what should I wear? I can still go up to Sally and say, looks like you found a really great outfit. I love it.
Yep.
You know,
but you can't do that.
But
when you're
you
stuck.
cannot do that when you are stuck at the check-in table. And so find a way to get a group of reliable people that know your software, that can own it, so that as the event chair, ED, or development director, whomever you are in charge of the big thing, the big event itself, you are not stuck on check-in.
I love that. That is a major pitfall that I think we find several, because they're the ones that know it all. You're the one that knows it all. And so you become the go-to whenever something's not right. And it's easy to say, hey, we're having trouble with check-in, because we know, for those of you that attend events and host events, you know that check-in is probably one of the biggest hurdles to overcome. It's the first contact when people come in your door. So it's what sets the stage for them. And we have this belief, and we coach people through the process, that it's actually not when they come in the door, it's when they're in the parking lot. So when you're trying to be strategic about picking unique environments to host your event, it's easy out at the Hagnon Event Center or at the resort or the inn or some of those places. But when we start trying to get creative on where we go, which is fun, we're not even going to talk about that today, but having creative venues is actually really, really fun. But it's also a challenge. And if you have if you're in a venue where it's hard to get in the door, maybe you've had to trek uphill and you didn't come prepared for an outdoor event, and you've had to walk, 200 yards up a hill to get inside the event. People have come in the door already discouraged or frustrated, and it's not a good way to set the stage.
The check-in line is 30 deep.
That's right. When the check-in line is 30 deep and a person spends 20 or 30 minutes in line when they really should be inside bidding or buying raffle tickets or getting a cocktail in their hand, then that is really a way to kick off your event wrong from the get-go and not create that. So obviously last year did not go like you had planned.
Yeah, the software was all accurate. We had a lot of last-minute changes, and so it really threw a monkey wrench in the evening for me.
Yeah.
I liked everything to be really smooth. The first year was perfect, like ran really smooth with check-in. The second year, I guess I let my guard down, and we just had some last-minute table changes, and people couldn't, I hopped on a computer and got stuck there, and train someone else to do that for you so
Yes.
that I will never be stuck there again.
Sure.
Lesson learned.
Yeah, the hard way.
The hard way.
And of all events I've been with you, I don't think I've ever seen that before either. So you've
off.
definitely dialed that in a way that generally would prevent that from happening.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
But that's good. So another just, hey, you must have, a must is a person that fully understands.
A team of people and a leader on your check-in, check-out.
That knows
system.
your software.
That knows how to, get through those. Oh, I'm not registered. Oh, no problem. I will register you right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get them in
Yeah.
and handle it.
Absolutely. And so with that registration software, we don't have to talk about specific softwares, but are you doing with your bidding silent auction? Are you doing paper and pen? Are you doing electronics?
We are paper and pen.
Paper and pen.
Yeah, paper and pen. Yeah. I've never done the digital route.
Yeah.
Myself. I've heard and I've listened to a lot of podcasts and I've talked to a lot of other event planners, and the feedback generally has been that, well, if the server can handle the traffic,
Yep.
great. If it can't, well, that's a bummer.
Yep.
And it really does throw another monkey wrench out there. But also, we're there to engage and interact with one another, with
Yep.
guests and with the people in the room.
Yeah.
And when everybody is looking at their phone, seeing where they were on bidding, I think it removes that intimacy.
Yeah.
And so I have my phone on me all the time. I don't want it when I'm in an auction. I just don't want it in my hand.
Yeah.
Other than maybe a selfie.
It's one of those funny topics that a lot of it, I think, is driven by age of your guests. So, we have several clients that say, I would never go back. We love it online because we don't have the headache of the data entry afterwards. Silent auction items close, and then just like that, all the data entry is handled for you. You're not keying silent auction sheets in. And also, I think there is kind of almost an expectation for the mid-30s and under, that there's not an app for that. Well, of course there is. There's an app for everything. But it is very common from the post-COVID. Of course, everybody was online. It had to be. There was no other option. A few of us got lucky and were able to have some live events in the midst of a couple openings, and I think you guys were one of those in that October opening. But several folks that ended up online stayed online last year too, and some of them are going back to pen and paper this year. But we've had new people that have opted to go the other route that have never done online and have transitioned to online. So I think it's going to continue to be an ever evolving thing that people will do on a case-by-case basis. And I think the age of your participants of your event vary.
And probably your mission too. I mean,
Yep.
like if you're a tech nonprofit,
Sure.
obviously that would make
perfect sense. Yep.
for you to, go that route.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you just have to, again, you have to consider your audience. You
Yep.
have to consider your guests. You have to consider your mission. And if you can consider all three of those components and bring those to life when you're trying to raise
wait.
funds.
Say that again.
Oh,
you have
gosh.
to consider the three
Can't we
things,
rewind
which
what
were,
we just said?
it was really good.
Okay.
So I want to,
Well,
before we
shoot.
lose it, I want to
Okay.
say it again.
Mission,
Participants, and your guests. Those
and
are-
if you can marry those three things together under your big top,
Yeah.
if you will.
Lindsay,
See,
look
there
what you
go.
did there.
Well,
Gosh,
yeah, and-
Lindsay. That's why you're so good at what you do.
Yeah, well, thanks. I just, things just kind of come out sometimes. And hey,
genius.
who's making cinnamon rolls with me later? I mean,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome.
so yeah, I think if you can find a unique way to make it your own and bring those three things to life at your event.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your success story.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, one final thing before we wrap this up is that you have done a great job of getting the right people in the room. And would you, obviously, the people that are directly connected to your cause, it seems like that's kind of a no-brainer. The families, the grandparents, the wealthy aunt and uncles who live in their, McMansions in New York or however that works out. That's an obvious connection. And I think most people understand that, the people that are going to support the private schools or even the public schools are going to be the parents and the grandparents. And obviously the same is going to be true with your participants. how outside of that space, how do we engage the public? How do we get the right people in the room?
Yeah, so we, with 99% of our participants coming from low to moderate income level households, we don't depend or expect even a little for our families to directly be engaged and giving in our fundraising.
Yep.
We are putting our faith in our community so that we can serve this community. Unlike other organizations around the world, children may grow out of poverty. They may go on to school. They may, choose a different path than what they grew up in. People that are born with a disability, that's for life.
Yep.
That will never go away. And they're not going to get better tomorrow. Down syndrome's not going to go away next year.
Yep.
It's for life. And parents are raising their children, will always have a kid at home. That kid might be 15. That kid might be 24. That kid might be 55 or 60 years old, still living at home. And so in order for our community to serve that niche of a community, people with special needs, that is, we have to rely on the greater community as a whole. And I've achieved that through inviting people within our community to become corporate sponsors. That's how we've been able to do what we do, is through the great support of our community, to serve the community, to build the inclusive community.
Absolutely.
In unison with each other.
One thing that you said, and it's important to recognize too, and I think sometimes it gets overlooked, and you try not to, I know, but we talk a lot about the participants themselves, but the burden lies more heavily often on the parents, the caregivers, the extended relatives, and those types of things. And so I know that when we talk about the 300 participants that you serve, the community that you serve is actually much greater than that, right? Those are just the participants that are coming in the doors.
Yeah, those are just the participants in this picture here that,
oh, yes.
that came to the prom last year. That's one person that came. But that one person came with their caregiver. And that participant got to enjoy a night out with his friends. And so, yeah, the impact is vast, but the individual person makes up one of the 300, if you will. That this one person might come one time a year. This one person might not miss one SNR activity all year long.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What is that? You brought something else.
Oh, yes. Well, they are actively, our group, our adults are learning
this the
to
loom?
weave. Yes,
oh, this is awesome.
Yes, they are learning to weave. And this is a hot pad that our participants have woven on our new loom that was just donated to us. So cool. I mean, they just want to learn how to do new things. I also brought a picture that one of our participants painted through one of our guided painting nights. So cool. And so they are eager to learn and participate and do all the same things that we're doing.
Right.
All the same things.
Absolutely.
Just in a space that allows them to be with people they want to be around.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much for your heart for community, for just, I can't think of the list of people that I know that do as much as you do is incredibly short. So thank you for just spreading your talents around to so many different organizations. And thank you for being here today to help guide other organizations. A lot of the folks that are going to be watching this, I believe, are going to be potentially first-timers, people that are launching their event for the very first time. And you already gave a little tip because you're new in this particular event anyway, is fairly new. And so if maybe a couple parting thoughts to those people who first-time events, they're just kicking off, they're intimidated. What would you say to someone who's, their event is still 6 months away, but they've bitten off more than they can chew, or at least they feel like they have? What would you say to someone who's out there first time in it? What are just maybe something that's going to keep them off the deep end? If
you are getting ready to plan your very first event, pick a theme. it will make everything else easier. Pick a
Okay.
theme, whatever you want the theme to be. Obviously, you must have a cause and a mission that you
Yeah.
want to support. Find a theme that you can build upon.
Okay.
I think Kristen talked about it too.
Yep.
And I echo what she said.
Yeah.
Next tidbit would be take that theme and bring it to life in your room. So it's consistent through invitation or what they've registered online to what they are walking into the night of.
Yep. And you mean theme like from decor to what you call your games to potentially even what your expectation is for people to wear? Because it does. It makes it fun. It makes it simple.
Yep.
Okay.
It's really easy to get behind in my world.
Yeah.
It's just easy to, what's at a circus? Oh, well, let's play games. Okay, what games are we going to play? And then there's all sorts of avenues you can look through on the internet to find different, things that work. Wine tree, beer wagons, are super easy just to pull together. If you can tie that to a specific group, like maybe there's a large real estate office that you or one of your parents or one of your donors works at, that you can invite them to sponsor the whole wine tree and then rally the whole office to get behind the procurement of all the bottles of wine. As an event leader, that's going to take that burden off of your shoulders. It's also going to empower someone to own something.
I love that.
They get to own one thing. You get to create a camaraderie within the office that they together collectively are donating to a cause that's pretty minimal. Okay, they're throwing an extra bottle of wine in their in their cart, or signing up for an extra for wine club, or maybe they got a wine they don't like and they want to regift it.
Absolutely.
I mean, it all works.
Absolutely.
In a wine tree. So find ways to get people involved in the planning process. And so it's not all on you. And just start small, live, silent, and maybe a raffle. And then next year add something else into your event.
I love it. So, Lindsay Patterson, what is your big audacious dream? This is how we'll wrap up. Tell me, what is it? What's the dream that keeps Lindsay Patterson going every single day when things get tough and heavy and dark sometimes? What motivates Lindsay? What's your big audacious dream?
Professionally, my biggest dream is to be able to have a special activity center for this community. Because right now there are a lot of great organizations, SNR being one of them. There's a lot here in town that do little bits and pieces. Yeah. But still, where are they going on Friday night? Nowhere. They're staying at home and they are watching TV or a movie or Disney Plus or playing on their phones, again, by themselves. Yeah. And I would love to be able to have a space that people could come and just be part of an inclusive center anytime. Yeah. Think YMCA, but on a little bit smaller scale, basketball courts, ping pong tables. They can, pick out a wall of board games. They can have an art center that they can just go and participate in and grab supplies and jump in. And what's really cool and we see this a little bit at SNR every now and again, is when you give people the opportunity to rise and you give them that space, there are people that really do rise.
Absolutely.
And then there are other people that get to experience something that they haven't experienced. I have one really wonderful young woman that comes to our adult program 4 days a week. And on Mondays, we don't plan anything for them. It's an activity center. They come and they participate. We've got 20-ish people that show up on Monday, 10 to 2. And this one individual lady has taken it upon herself to start playing Uno every week. She gets everybody organized. She dishes out the cards. And she has become a leader to everybody else in the room. She herself has special needs. Yeah. But she has been given the opportunity to rise, to lead the rest of the group, and the rest of the group is,
That's awesome.
engaged with her leadership. Yeah. And that's what I want to see.
What a beautiful environment that makes that possible.
Oh, it's been really, really, really amazing and beautiful. When I first started in August of 2019, we were only running programs during the day, Tuesday through Thursday, so 3 days a week. And
Yeah.
then right after we kind of came back after the COVID closure and whatnot, we added Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, our adults would just sit at the tables and stare at us. And we were very clear, like, this is your free time. You get to choose what you want to do. And I will say it took about 6 or more months for them to truly go, oh,
This is really my
I
time.
really can do whatever I want. And my mom's not here. I mean,
Yeah.
we all hear when mom's not there or if they had a bad morning. That's the first thing they like to tell us about. But mostly they just want a space to be able to get together with their friends.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, thank you for what you do, Lindsay. Thank you for joining me. And I just appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you too.